What if you could speak English so naturally that it feels like your first language? Stay tuned, because today I'm revealing the secret sauce to mastering English fluency. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ank's English, your go-to channel for making English learning fun, simple, and effective. I'm so excited you're here today because we're tackling a game-changing topic: the power of inputs and outputs in learning English. These two elements are the key to unlocking your ability to understand, speak, and write English with confidence. In this episode, I'm going to walk you through exactly what inputs and outputs are, why they're so important, and how you can use them to make English feel effortless. Whether you're just starting out or you've been learning for years, this video is packed with practical tips to take your skills to the next level. So grab a cup of coffee, get ready to take some notes, and let's jump into the world of English learning like never before. Why inputs and outputs are the key? You might be asking, what are inputs and outputs, and why should I care? Great question. Let's go back to how you learned your native language as a kid. Did you sit down with a grammar book or memorize vocabulary lists? Nope. You listened to your parents, watched the people around you, and soaked up the language like a sponge. Slowly, you started to understand, and one day you spoke your first words. That's input, the language you absorbed through listening and reading. And when you started talking or scribbling your first sentences, that was output, putting the language to use. Now imagine using this same natural process to learn English. Many learners hit a wall. They watch English movies, read books, or listen to songs. But when it's time to speak, they freeze or stumble over words. Sound familiar? Don't worry, this episode is all about breaking through that barrier. By mastering inputs and outputs, you'll not only understand English better, but also use it confidently in real-life situations, like chatting with friends, nailing a job interview, or sharing your thoughts with the world. This isn't just about studying English, it's about living it. What's coming up in this episode? Here's what we'll cover today. What are inputs? How listening and reading build the foundation for fluency. What are outputs? Why speaking and writing turn your knowledge into real skills. Balancing the two. A simple formula to make English feel natural. Mistakes to avoid. Common pitfalls that slow you down and how to dodge them. Practical tips. Easy strategies you can start using today to see results fast. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear, actionable plan to supercharge your English learning. So stick with me, because this could be the turning point in your journey to fluency. Diving into English inputs, let's kick things off with inputs, the first step to mastering English. In simple terms, inputs are the English you take in through your ears and eyes. This includes listening to podcasts, watching TV shows, or reading articles, books, or even social media posts. Inputs are like the fuel for your language learning engine. Without them, you can't go anywhere. Why inputs are the foundation? Picture your brain as a library. Every time you listen to or read English, you're adding new books to the shelves, new words, phrases, and sentence patterns. The more you stock your library, the easier it is to find the right words when you need them. Think about how kids learn their first language. They don't start by speaking. They spend months listening to their parents, picking up sounds, and making sense of words. Over time, their brain builds a map of the language, and they start talking. The same applies to English. The more you expose yourself to the language, the more familiar it becomes, setting you up to speak and write naturally. Types of inputs. Inputs come in two flavors, passive and active. Both are powerful, but they work in different ways. Passive input. This is when you're exposed to English without focusing too hard. For example, playing an English podcast while cooking dinner, watching a Netflix show with subtitles while chilling, listening to English music during a workout. Passive input is awesome because it gets you used to the flow and rhythm of English, even if you're not catching every word. Over time, your brain starts to recognize patterns, making the language feel less intimidating. Active input. This is when you dive in with full focus. For example, listening to a podcast and pausing to repeat sentences, reading a news article and looking up new words, watching a YouTube video without subtitles, paying attention to every phrase. Active input is like doing a workout for your brain. It forces you to process the language deeply, helping you notice grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. Real-life example. Meet Sarah, an English learner who wants to improve her skills. Every morning, she listens to a 10-minute English podcast while getting ready for the day, passive input. At first, she only understands bits and pieces, but after a few weeks, she starts picking up common phrases. In the evening, she reads a short English blog post and jots down 3 new words to practice, active input. After 2 months, Sarah notices she can follow conversations more easily and even uses phrases from the podcast in her own sentences. That's the power of consistent input. How much input do you need? The more the better. Aim for at least 30 to 60 minutes of English input daily. For example, 15 minutes of listening to a podcast, 10 minutes of reading a short story or article, 20 minutes of watching an English video. Mix passive and active input to keep things balanced. Even small moments, like reading a social media post or listening during a commute, add up over time. Exploring English outputs. Now that you've filled your brain with English through inputs, it's time to put it to work with outputs. Outputs are how you produce English, through speaking and writing. If inputs are like gathering ingredients for a recipe, outputs are like cooking the dish. Without this step, you're just collecting knowledge without using it. What are outputs? Outputs are the English you create. This includes speaking, talking to a friend, practicing pronunciation, or even narrating your day out loud. Writing, keeping a journal, sending an email, or posting a comment online in English. Outputs are your chance to take what's in your brain and bring it to life. It's like practicing a musical instrument. Listening to music helps, but you won't play well until you practice. Why outputs are crucial. Outputs are where fluency comes to life. Here's why they matter. Strengthen memory. Speaking or writing forces you to recall words and grammar, locking them into your brain. Build confidence. The more you practice, the less nervous you'll feel in real conversations. Spot weaknesses. Producing English shows you where you need to improve, like vocabulary gaps or grammar mistakes. Think in English. Regular output trains your brain to form sentences without translating from your native language. Types of outputs. Outputs come in 2 types, planned and spontaneous. Planned output. This is when you prepare before producing English. Examples include writing a blog post or essay for school, preparing a speech for a meeting, drafting a thoughtful email. Planned output is great for refining your skills, as you can take time to choose the right words and grammar. Spontaneous output. This is English you produce on the fly. Examples include chatting with a coworker in English, answering a question in a class discussion, talking to yourself about what you're doing. I'm making lunch now. Spontaneous output is key for fluency because real-life conversations don't wait for you to prepare. Real-life example. Let's meet David, who's been learning English for 6 months. He watches English YouTube videos every day but struggles to speak. To improve, he starts talking to himself in English for 5 minutes each morning, describing his plans. Today, I'm going to the park. He also writes a short journal entry every night about his day. At first, his sentences are shaky, but after a month, he's more confident and can hold short conversations without overthinking. That's the power of output. How much output do you need? Start small but practice daily. Try speaking for 5 to 10 minutes, e.g., describe your day or practice with a friend. Writing 3 to 5 sentences in a journal or online. Aim for a 70-30 split, 70% input, listening, reading, and 30% output, speaking, writing. This balance ensures you're absorbing enough to fuel your practice. Balancing inputs and outputs. To become fluent, you need a perfect mix of inputs and outputs. Too much input without output means you'll understand English but struggle to speak. Too much output without input limits your vocabulary and accuracy. The key is finding harmony. Building a daily routine. Here's a simple plan to balance inputs and outputs. Morning input. Listen to a 10-minute podcast or read a short article to start your day. Midday output. Write a quick summary of what you learned or speak about it for 5 minutes. Evening mix. Watch a 15-minute video and repeat key phrases aloud or write a short reflection. Example schedules for students. Morning. Listen to an English podcast while eating breakfast. 15 min. Afternoon. Write a short paragraph about a school topic. 10 min. Evening, watch a YouTube video and practice pronunciation by mimicking the speaker. 20 min. For workers, morning, Listen to an audiobook during your commute, 20 min. Lunch, write a quick social media post in English, 5 min. Evening, watch a short video and describe it aloud, 15 min. For busy people, morning, read an English quote or headline, 5 min. Daytime, think in English during tasks, e.g., I'm buying groceries, 5 min. Evening, record a 1-minute voice note about your day, 1 min. Tips for fluency shadowing. Repeat sentences right after hearing them to nail pronunciation. Summarize. After reading or listening, explain the content in your own words. Combine skills. Write a short story, then read it aloud to practice both. 1-to-1 rule. For every 10 minutes of input, spend 10 minutes on output. Why consistency matters. Consistency is your secret weapon. Practicing 15 minutes daily is better than cramming 3 hours once a week. Daily exposure strengthens your brain's language connections, making English feel second nature over time. Common mistakes and how to fix them. Even motivated learners trip up sometimes. Here are the top 3 mistakes and how to avoid them. Mistake: too much input, not enough output. Problem: you listen and read a ton but shy away from speaking or writing, so you struggle to express yourself. Fix: follow the 1-to-1 rule. Match 10 minutes of input with 10 minutes of output. Summarize a podcast aloud or write a quick reflection after reading. Mistake: relying only on passive input. Problem: you play English videos in the background but don't engage, so your brain doesn't fully process the language. Fix: turn passive into active. Pause videos to repeat phrases, take notes on new words, or comment in English on a post. Mistake: fearing mistakes. Problem: you're scared to speak or write because you might mess up, so you avoid practicing. Fix: see mistakes as stepping stones. Practice with supportive friends, record yourself to track progress, or write simple sentences daily to build confidence. Today, we've uncovered the secret to English fluency: balancing inputs and outputs. Inputs, listening and reading, fill your brain with language, while outputs, speaking and writing, turn that knowledge into real-world skills. By practicing both daily, avoiding common mistakes, and staying consistent, you'll be speaking English with confidence in no time. Here's your challenge. Create a 15-minute daily plan with both input and output. For example, listen to a 10-minute podcast and repeat key phrases. Write 5 sentences about something you love. Resources to keep learning: podcasts, YouTube, follow Anx English or other beginner-friendly channels. Reading: check out simple books or sites like BBC Learning English. Apps: use Quizlet or Anki to review vocabulary. Practice: join a language exchange or talk to yourself in English daily. If this episode inspired you, hit that subscribe button for Anx English to get more tips to skyrocket your skills. Like this video, share it with a friend, and drop a comment. What's one step you'll take today to practice inputs and outputs? Let's make fluency happen together. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.